My wife chose a Sunday breakfast to destroy our family. The kids were at the table. Emma, 14, and Lucas, 11. Pancakes, orange juice, the usual weekend routine. I was refilling my coffee when Christine cleared her throat. "I need to tell everyone something." The kids looked up. I turned around. Something in her voice made my stomach tighten. "I've met someone," she said. "His name is Dr. Alan Forbes. He's a therapist, and I love him." Emma's fork clattered against her plate. Lucas looked between us, confused. "Mom?" Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Christine continued, her voice steady, rehearsed. "I've been unhappy for a long time. Your father is a good man, but we've grown apart. Alan understands me in ways your father never could." I set down my coffee, said nothing. "I want an open relationship," Christine announced. "Alan will be part of our lives. The kids will meet him this weekend." "Christine," I started. "Let me finish." Her eyes were hard. "I'm giving you a choice, Richard. Accept Alan, accept this new arrangement, or lose me forever." She looked at Emma and Lucas, made sure they heard every word. "If your father can't accept this, I'll be moving out, and I'll be taking you with me." The table was silent. Emma was crying quietly. Lucas stared at his pancakes. I looked at my wife, the woman I'd married 16 years ago, the mother of my children, the person who had just weaponized our kids in front of them. "You want me to choose," I said, "between accepting your affair or losing my family." "It's not an affair. It's evolution." I nodded slowly. "Then I choose neither." Christine wasn't prepared for that answer. "What do you mean, neither?" "I mean, I'm not accepting your terms, either of them." I looked at Emma and Lucas. "Kids, please go to your rooms. Mom and Dad need to talk privately." They left quickly, grateful to escape. When they were gone, I turned to Christine. "You just traumatized our children to gain leverage in a negotiation. You announced an affair at the breakfast table and threatened to take them away if I didn't comply. I was being honest. You were being strategic. There's a difference." I'd known for 6 weeks. Dr. Alan Forbes, 51 years old, divorced twice, a family therapist with a practice downtown. Christine had started seeing him 8 months ago for anxiety management. Somewhere along the way, the therapy sessions became something else. I'd found the texts, the after-hours appointments that didn't appear on any billing statement, the emotional language that crossed every professional boundary. A therapist sleeping with his patient, not just unethical, criminal in our state. I'd already consulted a divorce attorney, already documented everything, already filed a preliminary complaint with the state licensing board. But I'd waited because I needed to understand how far Christine would go. Now I knew. "You used our children as pawns," I said quietly. "You forced them to witness this conversation, so I'd feel pressured to comply. That's not evolution. That's manipulation. You're twisting. I have a recording of this entire conversation." Christine stopped. Her face went pale. "The security system we installed last year, it includes audio. Everything you just said, the ultimatum, the threat to take the kids, all of it, is documented. You were recording our family breakfast?" "I was protecting evidence. There's a difference." Over the next 2 weeks, I executed a plan I'd hoped I'd never need. First, I secured custody documentation. The recording from that breakfast was devastating. Christine had explicitly stated she would remove the children if I didn't accept her affair partner. In family court, that kind of threat, combined with the traumatic way she delivered it, demonstrated poor judgment. My attorney, Patricia Vance, specialized in complex custody cases. She'd seen situations like this before. "The recording helps," she said, "but what really helps is the therapist angle." Dr. Alan Forbes had violated multiple codes of professional conduct. Sexual relationships with current patients were prohibited. The power imbalance was inherent. The fact that Christine was seeking treatment for anxiety, a vulnerable state, made it worse. I filed a formal complaint with the state psychology board. They took it seriously. Second, I protected the children. I sat down with Emma and Lucas separately, explained in age-appropriate terms that Mom and Dad were having serious problems, that none of it was their fault, that I loved them unconditionally. Emma was angry at her mother. at the situation, at everything. Lucas was confused and scared. I didn't badmouth Christine to them. I just listened. I also arranged for them to see a child psychologist, a different one, obviously, vetted carefully, someone to help them process what was happening. Third, I documented my stability. Christine didn't know the full extent of our finances. She knew I worked in IT, director of infrastructure at a healthcare company. She knew my salary, $275,000 per year. She didn't know about the startup I'd co-founded 5 years ago, a cybersecurity firm that had been acquired last year. My stake after taxes, $680,000, held in accounts she'd never seen. She didn't know about the rental properties I'd purchased before the marriage. 3 units, generating $4,200 per month in passive income. Total net worth, approximately $1.6 million, most of it protected as separate property. I wasn't rich enough to influence judges, but I was stable enough to demonstrate I could provide for my children without Christine's income. Fourth, I prepared my case. The psychology board moved faster than expected. Dr. Forbes had a history, 2 previous complaints, both dismissed for lack of evidence but documented. My complaint with the text messages and billing irregularities provided the pattern they needed. Within 6 weeks, Forbes was under formal investigation. His license was suspended pending review. Christine was furious. She called me screaming, accusing me of ruining Alan's life. "You filed a complaint with the board. How dare you? He's a therapist who slept with his patient. The board deserved to know. He helped me. He understood me. He exploited you. There's a difference." She hung up. That was the last personal conversation we had. Everything after went through attorneys. The custody hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks later. Christine had retained aggressive counsel. She planned to argue that I was emotionally distant and career-obsessed. But she'd made a critical error. She'd delivered her ultimatum in front of the children, on camera with audio, and the man she'd chosen as her soulmate was now a suspended therapist under investigation for professional misconduct. Her credibility was in ruins before we even entered the courtroom. The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined. A family court judge, 2 attorneys, Christine and me. Christine looked tired. The past 2 months had taken a toll. Alan Forbes had distanced himself, suspended license, ongoing investigation, reputation destroyed. Their relationship, built on therapy sessions and secrecy, hadn't survived exposure. Her attorney began the proceedings. "Your Honor, my client is seeking primary custody of the minor children. Mr. Lawson's career demands have left him emotionally unavailable." "If I may," Patricia interrupted, "we'd like to submit evidence regarding the circumstances of the marital separation." She handed the judge a tablet, pressed play. Christine's voice filled the courtroom. "I'm giving you a choice, Richard. Accept Alan. Accept this new arrangement, or lose me forever. Then, if your father can't accept this, I'll be moving out, and I'll be taking you with me." The recording played for 4 minutes. Every word, every threat, every tear from Emma in the background. When it ended, the judge's expression was unreadable. "Mrs. Lawson, is this recording authentic?" Christine's attorney leaned over, whispered something. Christine nodded reluctantly. "It is, Your Honor, but the context? The context is that you announced an affair to your children at the breakfast table and used them as leverage in a marital dispute." Silence. Patricia continued. "We'd also like to submit evidence regarding Dr. Alan Forbes, Mrs. Lawson's affair partner. Dr. Forbes was her treating therapist for anxiety. The relationship began during treatment. He is currently under investigation by the State Psychology Board, and his license has been suspended." Christine's attorney looked like he wanted to disappear. "Mrs. Lawson knowingly entered a relationship with a professional who was exploiting a therapeutic bond. This demonstrates a pattern of poor judgment that is relevant to custody considerations." The judge reviewed the documentation for several minutes. Then she spoke. "Based on the evidence presented, I have serious concerns about Mrs. Lawson's judgment and her willingness to prioritize the children's well-being over her personal interests." She looked at Christine directly. "You involved your children in an adult marital dispute. You threatened their custody as a negotiating tactic. You entered a relationship with a professional who violated ethical standards. Christine started to speak. Her attorney touched her arm. She stopped. I'm awarding primary custody to Mr. Lawson. Mrs. Lawson will have supervised visitation until a custody evaluation can be completed by a court-appointed psychologist. I felt nothing, no triumph, no satisfaction, just relief that the children would be protected. As we left the courtroom, Christine grabbed my arm. You destroyed everything. I looked at her. This woman I'd loved for 16 years. The mother of my children. You destroyed everything at that breakfast table. I just documented it. I walked away. It's been 18 months since that custody hearing. Christine completed her visitation requirements. The psychologist's evaluation was mixed. Not dangerous, but not stable either. She now sees the kids every other weekend. We don't speak beyond logistics, brief texts about pickup times and school events. Professional. Distant. Dr. Alan Forbes lost his license permanently. The investigation revealed 2 additional patients he'd had inappropriate relationships with. Last I heard, he was selling insurance in another state. Christine moved into a small apartment. She works at a real estate agency now. I don't know if she's dating anyone, I don't ask. The kids are doing remarkably well. Emma is 16 now. She understands more than I'd like about what happened. She's protective of her brother. She's protective of me too. I tell her she doesn't need to be, that I'm okay. She doesn't quite believe me yet. Lucas is 13. He plays soccer. He started helping me cook dinner. Nothing fancy, just basic stuff. Last week he made scrambled eggs entirely by himself. He was proud. So was I. Our house is quieter now. Simpler, but it's not sad. We have routines. Sunday morning breakfast. Pancakes still because the kids like them. Movie nights on Fridays. Homework at the kitchen table. I work less than I used to. 50 hours instead of 60. The company adjusted. They had to. Some evenings, after the kids are in bed, I sit on the back porch with a glass of wine. I think about that breakfast. The ultimatum. The choice she thought she was forcing me to make. Accept him or lose me. I chose neither, and somehow that was the only choice that mattered.